What's going on, y'all? Welcome back to Marshall Time, episode 33. You know what time it is. It's March. The madness has officially started. The brackets is out, bro. It's time to have some fun. What's up?
Yes, sir. What's going on, man? It's that time of the year. It's one of the
I'm
best times of the year.
I'm excited. If you're a hoops fan, obviously this is like one of the best times of the year. Even just non-basketball fans, everybody just seems to be into the bracket style, and this is just it's a fun time of upsets and just moments that you'll remember and talk about. If you've gone to these schools or you just have a rooting interest with these schools, I feel like there's something for everybody when it comes to March Madness, and this is one of those sporting events that everybody can sort of gravitate to. So they really done a great job with it. The first four games, obviously, we're used to that by now. Starting tonight, this would be Tuesday that we're recording this. Wagner, Howard, Colorado State, and Virginia. And then Wednesday's games are Grambling, Montana State, Colorado,
Yeah.
and Boise State. So, and then the real deal, the big tourney, the big dance begins on Thursday. The first game is at 12:15. Michigan State, Mississippi State, and then after that, the first couple of days are just it's basketball all day, literally from the afternoon until the nighttime. And so I'm just excited. There's always going to be something to watch throughout this weekend, throughout these next few weeks. And so it's going to be fun. So obviously tonight for this show, we're going to have some bracket talk, give our thoughts and takes on this field. Obviously the bracket is not like an exact science. Even those who actually paid to follow college basketball throughout the year, they get it wrong too. Um, and so it's always just fun to see how long your bracket can survive. Most times after the first 2 days, you can just rip this thing up. You know what I mean? And so, that's just the fun thing. Trying to see how your team can survive in advance. The team that you have winning it off. You have a pool. You're playing for money, just bragging rights in general. And so I'm gonna be honest with you. I dabbled with the bracket earlier. I haven't filled it out all the way, so we're just gonna do this live because last year I was pretty confident in who I thought was gonna make deep runs. UConn was the team that I narrowed in on early on in January, and like that's the team that I can trust to at least make a Final Four run. I don't remember who I picked to win it all. I believe it might have been. I would have to, if there's a way to go back to our previous bracket challenges, I might have picked Houston to win it. I really don't know. But I know I picked UConn to make it to the Final Four. It might have been a Houston, UConn, Houston winning it. I'm not sure, but I was confident in UConn and Houston at least making it far. And for me, that's the key. Like, which teams do you trust the most? Which teams have the lowest or the furthest, the wider room for error, right? And that's how I go about choosing teams to go far. The other matchups are just, you never know. You can't call these upsets. You just never know what's going to happen. It's a one game situation. I tend to lean toward teams who have pro level talent, who can shoot, who have great guard play, who have options, multiple options as far as going one on one, because you never know. You might have a bad shoot night, but do you have some guys that can get you a bucket? Um, Teams that have experience as well. So that's what I go for. That's my philosophy. Just your overview of the bracket, um, and what are just your overall thoughts before we go into. We're gonna do game by game. Let's do it. But first off, just your overall thoughts.
Yeah, man. I think it's going to be a great tournament. I think this year is really no, clear cut number one team. I think there's two teams actually that I really could see winning it all, but both of these teams they got kinks in their armor, right? So I look at a team like UConn. They had a bad loss to Seton Hall earlier in the year, and they had a bad loss to Creighton not too long ago. And then I was looking at Houston. They're my other team. They had a bad loss to Iowa State in the championship game for their conference. So these teams can be beat. I know a lot of the times the tournament comes down to who's hot and who is playing the best ball at the time because it's elimination. It's one win and you're on or one game and you're out. So it's gonna be interesting to see how these teams match up versus each other. And I'm just ready. I'm excited to watch it.
Yeah, honestly, it seems like each year that goes by, I say to myself, I don't really know. It's hard to call it. Usually, there's a couple teams that you can trust and you believe in, but outside of that, for this year, it's like, man, there's really not that one juggernaut team that has just all these one and done type of guys. It's just not. That's just not what it is. That's not where it's at for college basketball right now, right? You don't have those Kentucky teams where we saw that had, John Wall, Eric Bledsoe, and those guys. Like Kentucky this year has a couple of those guys, and Reed Shepherd and Rob Dillingham, and we'll talk about them. But more often than not, most of these teams we're talking about, the top teams, they don't have a bunch of one and done guys. You know what I mean? UConn has some experienced guys that'll play at the next level, but these aren't like household names. Even Houston too, and so we'll talk about the Purdue's and the North Carolina. Shout out to my Tar Heels. My Cuse didn't make it, but my Tar Heels are number 1 seed. We'll see how far they can go. But let's start with we're gonna start where we at on the East. Start in the East region. The 1 seed UConn Huskies defending champs versus Stetson, the 16th seed. We getting a 16-1 upset here?
Not at all. UConn is taking this one all the way.
Okay. Yeah, I gotta agree. I'm going with UConn. Yeah, last year we had Fairleigh Dickinson defeating Purdue. That was, I think, the second time. Yeah, UMBC was the first team to the first 16 seed. I think they beat Virginia that year, and then last year Fairleigh Dickinson defeated Purdue. That was the second 16-1 upset. It's not happening in this round, that's for sure. FAU Northwestern. FAU Cinderella last year made the Final Four. I'm going with FAU. I'll trust that experience from last year, the talent that they had coming back. It's an 8-9 matchup, so it can go either way. Not too familiar with Northwestern, I'm going to be honest with you. I haven't watched a lot of Northwestern basketball, but I know more about FAU. I trust it. I'm going with FAU.
I actually went with Northwestern on this one, and I was thinking about Florida Atlantic at first, but to me, it's just like I feel like they came into this year off the high horse of the Cinderella run, and they kind of fell off. Not to say they can't win this game, but I feel like Northwestern is like that new team. It's like, okay, we're not used to Northwestern basketball doing something. They had a good year, 21-11 record, finished fourth in the 10. So I'm rocking with them.
All right. San Diego State, UAB, 5-12.
Well, we know the 5-12 matchup. That's usually one of the matchups that, are known for upsets. But I went with San Diego State. I just feel like they play good basketball, good defense. So I went with them.
I'm going San Diego State. I got them getting a couple wins in this NCAA tournament. Auburn, Yale. Auburn's a hot team. Everybody saw what they did in the SEC versus the Ivy League winner, Yale. They won on the buzzer beater against Brown to make the tournament. So if it wasn't for that, they wouldn't be here. But that's what makes March so great. They did it. So Auburn, Yale, you got?
I got Auburn. I didn't even have to think about this one. I just feel like the athleticism it's not even fair in this matchup. But like you said, it is March. But I'm going with Auburn.
BYU, Duquesne, I'm going with BYU. That's what I'm going with.
Yeah, I'm going with BYU too. I like their offense. I like BYU in this tournament. I'm not going to lie. I like them, doing something a little bit. I like them winning this game, though, for sure.
Illinois, Morehead State. I'm intrigued by Illinois, actually. I'm not going to hold you. They got a couple guys. I like how they seem to have some momentum going into this tourney. I got them winning this first round matchup, though, for sure.
Yeah, I like Illinois winning this one for sure. This should be a good one for them.
This is one that I have trouble with. I still want to do more thought on this one and look at some things. This is the 7-10 matchup, Washington State versus Drake. I see a lot of Drake love here. Something is telling me to pick Washington State, though. I'm going to go, just for this conversation, for this show, I'm going to go with Washington State.
Yeah, I actually picked Drake on this one, and it could go either way. But I was just looking at some of the numbers, and I know that Drake has a high-powered offense. Washington State, they're a better defense than Drake, but it's not by much. So I went with Drake.
Okay. Iowa State, South Dakota State. Iowa State's on fire. That's a team that everybody's kind of jumping on, which kind of gives me pause. I'm not going to say the upsets here, but Iowa State was impressive against Houston. They destroyed Houston. That opened my eyes up a little bit. I'm not sure how far I'm going to have Iowa State advance, but they're going to advance this round for sure.
Yeah, I agree. That should be an easy win for them.
Yeah. My Tar Heels versus the 16th seed, either Howard or Wagner. Who you picking? You already know who I got.
I picked Howard to win just to show the HBCUs some love, but Carolina.
Wow, come on.
Carolina's. No, I'm talking about to get in. But Carolina.
Okay.
I wouldn't do that.
Yeah. The Tar Heels are moving on. You already know what it is. Mississippi State, Michigan State. You know what? I went with Mississippi State. I know Michigan State come tourney time. Ty Izzo always has his guys ready, but I've watched State and like I just don't like. I don't like it. I don't like when I watch them play ball. It just seems out of sorts. Offensively, they can get just stale. I like what State brings as far as energy, athleticism wise. I think State will find a way. I think this is going to be a scrappy matchup. I feel like, and I think State's going to have the edge. I think they're just going to be able to develop. They're going to be able to, just have more offense. I just think they're going to be able to just get something going offensively more so than State. I'm going Mississippi State.
I went back and forth on this one personally, but I went with Michigan State, and I know Michigan State. You know they've had a shaky year. I've seen things with Tom Izzo and the players not connecting how he has in the past. But I'm just going to trust that experience that Michigan State has. They've been in these types of games, ever since I can remember. What I mean? They make the tournament pretty much all the time. Mississippi State, I can't say the same for them. Plus, I'm looking forward to see AJ Hoggard, their point guard. For Michigan State, he's a vet there now. So, yeah, I went with Michigan State.
This is a matchup that I'm not sure about coming up. St. Mary's or Grand Canyon. This is a classic 12-5 matchup. I got to pick upset somewhere, right? I'm picking Grand Canyon.
Yeah, I went Grand Canyon too, and it wasn't even that hard of a pick for me. And it's funny. I watched a couple like Grand Canyon games. They're a good team, and they have who is it? Tyson Grant Foster or Tyon Grant Foster, who's a baller, man. He's going to be, he should be in the NBA this year after this season, after this tournament. It's a good opportunity for him to showcase his talents on the big stage. So I'm going with Grand Canyon.
Yeah, St. Mary's has my guy Aiden Mahaney. I like him. I like his game. He's a really fun player to watch. I just think Grand Canyon, they've made the tournament. They haven't gotten that win yet, but I think they're going to break through. This could be a team that we're talking about making a Sweet 16 run, possibly depending on how things go in the bracket. So I like Grand Canyon in that matchup. Alabama Charleston, I think it comes down to athleticism point. And sometimes when it comes down to these matchups, it's about athletes. Who has the better athletes? And I think Alabama Charleston, this is what it comes down to. Grant Nelson made the move up to play for an Alabama team. I'm excited to see what he does on this big stage. They have some experience. Like I like Alabama to get past Charleston in the first round.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. I like Bama.
Next up, New Mexico Clemson. Look, Jalen House, Jamal Mashburn Jr. If you're old enough to remember their fathers played in the league, Eddie House and Jamal Mashburn. Yeah, it's that time. You are getting up there. You're an old head right now. But watching New Mexico, watching what they did in the Mountain West, which was a tough conference, I'm excited to see what Jalen House and Jamal Mashburn Jr. can do. I got them winning this matchup, the 11 over the 6 seed Clemson Tigers.
Yeah, that's going to be one of the better games during this tournament. I picked Clemson, though. I picked Clemson here.
Okay. Next up, we got Baylor Colgate. I'm picking Baylor. I just trust what Scott Drew is going to do, at least in this first round matchup. I like it. I like Baylor.
I went with Baylor as well. Yeah, it's a no-brainer.
Yeah. Dayton, Nevada. What you got?
I got Dayton here.
Yeah. This is a tough one. Dayton probably has the best player in Dayron Holmes. If you haven't seen him play, check him out. Check some highlights out before they play their game. But this is another tough one for me. They have the best player. I'm going to go with Nevada on this one. And then Arizona, Long Beach State. I got Arizona making it. Winning this one.
Yeah, I got Zona. They better not lose to them.
Arizona, one of those teams that I always like what they have come tournament time, but they always just seem there's always a game where they just fail to live up to what you expect them to do. But once again, they got the talent. Caleb Love, I love the his history with North Carolina. He has that experience. Like they have all the pieces. They have the guard play. They have the size. It's just can they get it done when it matters most in those crucial moments. All right. We on the other side. We're going to the South. Houston versus Longwood, the other 116 matchup. Who you got?
Houston all the way.
Yeah, Houston, I think that loss to Iowa State could be a blessing for them in disguise to wake them up. Kelvin Sampson is one of those coaches where he doesn't play. And the way they play, They got hustled. They just got outplayed in all areas, which you don't usually see from a Houston team, right? And so I think that's going to bring a whole new energy out of Houston, and I'm excited to see what they can do during this run. So Houston's going to win that one. Nebraska, Texas A&M. Who you got?
This was a hard one, man, because both of these teams I'm not high on, but I went with A&M. I went with A&M here.
We went A&M. They have Wade Taylor. He can possibly be sort of like that game changer in this one. Yeah, this is a tough one. I'm not like just like you say, I'm not high on either one of these teams, but I got a better feeling about A&M in this matchup. Wisconsin, James Madison. This is an interesting one, actually. Who you got?
I'm going with JMU, baby.
Yeah,
It's the 12-5 that I like. Hey,
I
listen,
got it.
James Madison. I know they was in the Sun Belt Conference, but 31-3 record. They have a solid team, a solid core, and I just like they play as a team. So come tournament time, that's priceless. So I'm going with them.
I like JMU. They beat Michigan State this year, by the way. That put me on their radar. That put them on my radar. I feel like there's always a 12-5 game that goes for the 12 seed. This is one of the ones I'm confident in. I'm picking JMU. Duke, Vermont. As much as a Tar Heel guy as I am, as much as I would love nothing more to have this get wrong. I would love for Vermont to beat Duke. I'm just gonna put it out there. I'm picking Duke, but I would love to get this wrong. But I gotta go with Duke. Gotta go with Duke.
Nah,
Duke they have the talent, they have the pro, and Kyle Filipowski, he'll probably be a first round pick. Filipowski. Vermont just doesn't have enough. That's just what it is. But shout out to Vermont. I mean, they run the American East Conference. This is like one of the more consistent programs in the nation. They just don't have the talent right now to compete with a Duke.
yeah, I mean Duke. They got Jeremy McCain,
Yeah.
Jeremy Roach. They just got too much talent. Not that Vermont's a bad team, but Duke is just better.
Yeah. This is an interesting one. Texas Tech versus NC State. NC State went on a high run in the ACC. I'm going with Tech, though. I think Tech is going to have the talent and the energy and the bodies to compete with NC State, which they had a great run, but you got to think, like, man, how long can they keep this going? Because this wasn't a team they had to play for. They had to run the table to make this tournament. So eventually, it's like, when is this going to run out? I'll just trust Tech and their talent and what they've done throughout the year. I'm going with Tech to advance.
I'm going with NC State, man. We saw what they did in the ACC tournament. We saw DJ Burns, come on the scene. I'm excited to see him in the tournament. But when I look at a team like this, like you said, they had to fight to get in here. They're playing with house money, so it's like they didn't come here just to lose. They're going to win at least one. They might win two. So I'm picking them to win this first round matchup.
Kentucky, Oakland. I'm going with Kentucky.
Yeah, Kentucky.
No explanation for me.
Yeah.
The next one is Florida versus the winner of Boise State and Colorado. This, to me, depends on who wins the Boise State-Colorado matchup, personally. If Boise State wins, I'm going with Florida, but I kind of like Colorado. But we'll see.
I like Florida regardless. Florida's such an inconsistent team. That's the thing about them, but I think they'll be fine to beat either of these 10 seeds.
Colorado, by the way, if you're familiar in the NBA, the Thunder, Jalen Williams, his brother Cody plays for Colorado. He's a projected lottery pick. Somebody to watch out for. The 2 seed in the South, Marquette versus Western Kentucky. Who you got?
Marquette.
Yeah. Easy pickup. All right. Going down to the Midwest. Purdue, which I have my thoughts on. I'll share my thoughts. Versus the winner of Montana State and Grambling. Who you got?
I got Purdue.
Yeah.
Please, I hope they
Purdue should win. I mean, if you go back-to-back upsets as a 1 seed, then I don't want to hear about you ever again. Leave me alone.
They just banned from the tournament.
Yeah. Utah State, TCU. I got Utah State. I like their offense. I think I've watched some of TCU. I just don't trust it. But I think Utah State is going to win this one. And we'll talk about the other matchup too. But I like Utah State in this one.
This was a tough one for me, man. But TCU, I know their offense can be a little, a little stagnant at times. But I think their defense is better than Utah State's just by a little bit. So I think TCU will pull this one out.
Okay. This was another tough one for me. As we speak, I still haven't picked anybody yet. This is Gonzaga McNeese State. This isn't the same Gonzaga team we're used to seeing with the pros, the no doubt, the Jalen Suggs, the Chet Holmgrens, the Corey Kisperts. Who was the big fella's name? What is his name? The big fella.
You know,
He was
the
just.
mustache.
What is his name?
I can't believe we're forgetting his name. And it's going to
Hold
hit
on. It was a Drew. Hold
Scott.
on.
Well, not Scott Drew.
Nah.
Drew Timmy.
Drew Timmy.
Yeah,
Drew Timmy, wherever you are. Our apologies, but you were so fun to watch. So this Gonzaga team to me is weird. Like I'm usually high on Gonzaga's teams because they had the pros. They had the connection offensively. They had guys that knew their roles. Mark Few's a great coach, but it's like, man, this year it's hard to get a read on them. And McNeese is one of those scrappy teams, those athletic teams that like to get out and run. And man, who you got in this one?
I got Gonzaga. I mean, like you said, McNeese is that scrappy team, but I think Gonzaga being under the radar benefits them in this situation because we're so used to them being, like you said, team with pros, team that dominated the regular season. I think them having more of a team built on, players playing to their strength and playing to their roles is going to benefit them in this matchup. So I went with Gonzaga.
The one thing that gives me pause for McNeese is Gonzaga's size advantage, and that's something that you got to look at when it comes to matchups. Rebounding would be huge. Second chance opportunities, limiting those opportunities for the opposition, that'll be huge. You know what? I'm going McNeese. Whatever. Let's do it. Let's have some fun.
Hey, it's going to be upset, so you might as well.
Let's have some fun, right? Kansas Samford. I'm going to tell you what. Kansas should be sweating because Hunter Dickinson has been hurt and Kevin McKellar has been hurt. Outside of that, I don't like what they bring to the table, personally. They don't have a lot of depth.
True.
I guess those two guys are going to play, but how healthy are they going to be? So I don't think this is going to just be an automatic Kansas win. Samford, once again, just like I talked about McNeese, they call it Bucky Ball, their head coach, named after their coach. Let me look up the head coach name, actually, for I don't want to butcher it. So I'm guessing you got Kansas. Yeah, Bucky McMillan.
I got Kansas, but I didn't account for the injury part, with Hunter Dickinson and McKellar. But I got Kansas. I picked Kansas.
Bucky McMillan is the coach of Samford. They call it Bucky Ball. They like to get out and going. Actually, let me look at the injury update. Just this is all in real time. Hold on.
Game time decision still.
So Dickinson dislocated his shoulder in the regular season finale at Houston. McKellar has nursed a bone bruise in his knee for 2 months. So, it's kind of hard to decide because if they do play, how effective are they going to be?
Yeah, well, they said Dickinson returned to practice yesterday, full practice. McKellar still has it. So,
the one thing about Kansas is that you always want to give them the benefit of the doubt because of Bill Self. It's like Jay Wright at Villanova. Like, it's just certain coaches and their teams, and you just try to give them the benefit of the doubt. Whew. This is a tough one. As of right now, I am going to go with another upset. We having fun. I got Samford. Let's do it. Whatever. South Carolina, Oregon. I'm not crazy about any one of these teams. I'll let you go first, though. I'm still debating.
Well, funny enough, I'm high on South Carolina. I'm high on South Carolina. It's a team I've been paying attention to all year. I like them. I believe they finished second in the SEC, right? They were competitive against, majority of teams they played. I think they're going to be too scrappy, too physical, too athletic for Oregon. Not to say it won't be a good game, but I'm rocking with South Carolina, man. I think they're going to be that team that kind of wakes people up because when you think of South Carolina basketball, you think of the women's. You don't really think of the men's necessarily. But I feel like this year they're going to show people like, you know what, we got some talent too. We can ball too. So I'm going with South Carolina.
I'm a big South Carolina, but I feel like this is going to be one of the closer games. Both these teams are going to be sweating it out. I'm gonna pick South Carolina right now. Creighton Akron. Who you got?
I went with Creighton. I seen Creighton. I've seen them beat teams that I saw them beat UConn. I saw that. I watched that game. At their best, they're right up there with any of these teams.
Mm-hmm.
So, I'm going with Creighton for sure.
Yeah, I like Creighton. I like Ryan Kalkbrenner, Baylor Shireman, Trey Alexander. Yeah, they had they had a really good run last year. They have that experience. That's important to me. You have the pro level guys. I like what they do, and so I'm picking Creighton. Texas versus the winner of Virginia and Colorado State. Who you got?
Got Texas.
Mhm.
Texas for sure.
You don't believe in Virginia, huh? They got to get past Colorado
Well,
State.
he's go over Virginia, man, and the way they
You and
play,
me both.
the whole slow
Yeah,
tempo offense is so outdated. Go get a
yeah,
button, man.
yeah. Tennessee St. Peter's 215. Who you got?
I got Tennessee. This would be another too athletic,
Yeah,
too skilled type of thing.
yeah. All right, now second round matchups. Going back to the East, UConn FAU. I got UConn.
Well, my matchup is UConn Auburn. I got UConn now. You have UConn moving on as well.
San Diego State, Auburn. Interesting matchup. I think this is going to be a really good second round matchup. Who you got?
I have San Diego. Well, no. This is San Diego State and Auburn. I have Auburn. I have Auburn moving on.
I got San Diego State. I
That's
like it.
4-5. So it's going to be an interesting one.
That's going to be a close one. Obviously, San Diego State with their run to the championship game last year. Jaden Ledee is a really good player. I like the physicality that they play with. Auburn as well. I feel like this is going to be a great matchup. It's a great basketball game. Both two physical, athletic teams. They're going to go at it. It's going to be fun. BYU, Illinois. You're high on BYU, so I'm assuming you got BYU advancing.
Dude, man, it's going to shock a lot of people, man. I just like BYU's offense. I like the way they play. I like the way they play the game. Illinois might get them some fits just because of the talent differential, but if BYU can play their game and play at their pace, I like BYU winning.
I'm going to go with Illinois because they'll have the best player in the game in Terrence Shannon. I think that might be the deciding factor in a situation like this. I'm going to go Illinois. So this next matchup, I have Washington State versus Iowa State. You would have Drake versus Iowa State. I got Iowa State advancing.
Yeah, I got Iowa State advancing too. It was a good win for Drake, but it ends here.
UNC versus I have Mississippi State. You got Michigan State. I'm gonna have UNC advancing.
Yeah, I'm rocking with Carolina as well.
Grand Canyon versus Bama. You know what? I'm riding with the 12 right now. I got Grand Canyon beating Bama.
I went with the Canyon too.
I like the energy, and I don't think Bama has like this separation in high level talent compared to a Grand Union. You know what I mean? There's no Brandon Miller on this team, so that's why I say, you know what? I'm gonna go with Grand Canyon. This year is sort of like FAU type of style run this year. This is the one that makes me think a little bit more. New Mexico versus Baylor, but you have Clemson versus Baylor. Who do you have?
Got Baylor moving on.
Mm. It pains me to do this because I really like New Mexico and the energy that they have right now, but I got to trust Scott Drew and those guys. I'm going with Baylor. Nevada versus Arizona, but you picked Dayton, right?
Yeah.
Who do you got in that matchup?
I got Arizona moving on.
Yeah, same here, Arizona. Okay, back to the South. Houston versus A&M.
Oh, Houston.
Let's go. Likewise, JMU versus. I'm gonna get Duke out of here eventually. I just gotta figure out when. That's all it comes down to. They getting out of here quick. JMU versus Duke. Who you got?
I got Duke, but that'll be a good game. That's going to be a good one.
Hey, check this out. Let's get crazy.
Second round?
We've seen Duke lose to Mercer.
Yeah.
We've seen Duke lose to Lehigh. Shout out to CJ McCollum.
Yeah.
I've seen Duke lose to VCU before Shaka Smart got there. But you know what?
I don't
Hmm.
know. I mean, they could lose. That's gonna be a good one. JMU is a good team, man. They're legit.
This Duke team isn't like that fearful. Like, they got the one and done juggernaut out there. Duke ain't. They not built like that right now. Cooper Flag is coming next year. If they had Cooper Flag, it's like, all right, gotta respect it. But they don't have that guy that you say, okay, give me a bucket,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Like, and that's what gives me pause with a lot of these teams, especially a Duke team. I don't like McCain and Roach. These are good players, but it's not like they're not like a problem. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's some guys in this tour, like Dillingham's a problem. Reed Shepard is a Dalton Connect is a problem. You know what I'm saying? Like RJ Davis is a problem. Who's a problem for Duke? You know, Filipkowski, I guess, is their guy, but as far as perimeter play, who is that guy that give me the rock, guaranteed I'm gonna get us a good bucket? I just don't know. That's what gives me pause about Duke. And you know what? There's going to be surprises all over this bracket. I'm picking JMU.
okay. Hey, I'm
I
not
think
mad.
this,
I'm not mad.
I think this Duke team is kind of soft too. I don't know if they got that. They little. I don't know. I just don't see it. They were going to lose to Houston. They were going to lose to Houston anyway in the next round anyway. So get them out of here. One extra round, whatever. Um, Tech versus Kentucky. Listen, I'm huge on Rob Dillingham. To me, he's the most exciting player in the college game. I got to ride with Dilly, DJ Wagner, Reed Shepard. I got to do it. I got Kentucky over Tech.
Yeah, I went with Kentucky too for the same reasons.
Okay, you got Florida. I had probably if Colorado wins, I would pick Colorado versus Marquette. Who you got?
Marquette. I think they're
Marquette
just
versus
too
Florida.
polished for Florida in this matchup.
Pay attention to the Tyler Kolek injury. Matter of fact, let me look and see what his deal is. Um, Tyler Kolek is hoping to return when they play Western Kentucky. He missed the final 3 regular season games and all 3 games in the Big East tournament with a strained oblique. So once again, just like Kansas, injury to a big player, that could be a huge thing as they try to make a deep run. So that's what gives you pause about Marquette eventually. Tyler Kolek, how healthy will he be? But I have him advancing at least to the Sweet 16. Next up, Purdue versus pick TCU.
We got Purdue moving on now.
Who you got in that one? Hey, I'm about to do it.
They're known for doing what they do.
I'm getting Purdue out of here.
Once
I'm getting Purdue out of here. Sorry, Zach Edey and those guys. Look, the biggest thing, my biggest situation when it comes to Purdue is, okay, you got this big guy, we get it, but eventually you're going to run into a team that has the guards that can just blow by your guards. You just can't match athletically, and that's what failed them last year. The guards just let them down. They couldn't make shots, and they just couldn't hold. They just couldn't hang. They just couldn't. And so I think Utah State could be a team where if they could figure out how to sort of contain Edey, and if they can make some shots and get their offense going against those guards, I think Purdue is ripe for an upset here. I'm picking Utah State over Purdue. This is a big, because most people have Purdue in their Final Four. This is a big one for me. This is a shot. But I'm taking it. It's March Madness, upsets, what's up? So who expected San Diego State last year, right? Who knew? Man, my second round matchup next is crazy. McNeese versus Sanford. So you got Gonzaga, Kansas, right? Who you got winning that matchup? If that is, man, who would I have between McNeese and Sanford? I didn't even think that far.
Hey, that's how everybody's going to be after day one.
I'm going to go with McNeese. We got a Utah State McNeese 16 matchup in my bracket. That's crazy. South Carolina Creighton.
Going with South Carolina, baby. I told you I'm high on them. I'm high on them. I think people are going to really wake up. They bought out this year. That's it.
I gotta watch more. I gotta watch more before I do my bracket challenge. I got Creighton though. Texas versus Tennessee. Once again, Tennessee has the best player, Don Connect. He should be a lottery pick in my eyes.
This is where I
I'm
get a
going with
little
Tennessee.
crazy. I'm going Texas. I'm going Texas, man.
I can look
Listen,
Texas.
they're such an
I can
erratic
see it.
team, right? They have some good wins, some bad wins, but
That's the
when they
thing.
played the top teams, they had some. It was close losses. Like they lost to Houston. It was a close game. Iowa State they lost by 5. And when it comes to
Yeah.
stuff like that, it's like it's a few plays that you could have made. You know what I mean? It's a a couple missed rebounds, a missed open shot,
Yeah.
a couple turnovers. They can get it clicking. They could
Yeah.
beat a team like Tennessee. So I'm rocking with Texas.
Yeah. That wouldn't shock me. Like I like Texas and what they bring. Max, they got Max Asmus now with Tyrese Hunter too. It's just which Texas team is going to show up, right? I just think Tennessee with Dalton Connect, would they be able to contend? If he gets going, like he can give you 30. You just never know. And can Texas contain that? Who do they have to like defend that? I don't know. So that's why I went with Tennessee in this matchup. So our Sweet 16 is here. Let's go back to the East. UConn versus San Diego State, the rematch. It's crazy how it worked out, the rematch of last year's national title game, and they could possibly meet up in the Sweet 16. So we're guaranteed not to have 2 of last year's national championship game. One of them going to be out of it by the Sweet 16.
This UConn Auburn. I
had San Diego State. You got Auburn. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, this is going to be a tough one if UConn plays San Diego State, just by how San Diego State plays. But once again, out of all the teams, I trust UConn. They're balanced when it comes to half-court offense. They know how to run an offense. They have the pros, and they have Tristan Newton. They have Donovan Clingan. Like they have the pieces to make another deep run. And I trust it. I trust their toughness with Coach Early. And they have that. Just like with the Nuggets, right? You watch UConn, they just have that extra gear when you feel like they're down and they're just struggling. They have something else that they can tap into. And come tournament time, when things aren't always going to go your way, can you tap into that next gear? And UConn has that. So I got UConn being San Diego State. What's your next matchup?
My next one is BYU and Iowa State. And I'm going with Iowa State here. I know I sound like BYU, but they're making Sweet 16. That's a good run for them. But I think Iowa State is pushing to that Elite 8.
I got Illinois, Iowa State, which could be a good one. I'm torn on this one because I feel like Illinois could easily make an Elite 8 run. But right now, this is a tough one. If I had to pick, let me check something real quick, actually. This is real time.
It's the best way to do it.
Real time. I'm just trying to see something real quick. Trying to look at Iowa State's schedule. Okay. All right. Okay. Man, beating Baylor and Houston back to back in the Big 12 tournament is huge.
They're on fire. The confidence.
Yeah. And they play like
confidence.
And what they did to Houston, not many teams are able to do that. I'm going to pick Iowa State in this one. Yeah, I'm picking Iowa State. It's settled. Next matchup, who you got?
North Carolina and GCU. And as much as I would love to see GCU, keep pushing.
Come on.
I gotta go with Carolina, man.
Come on.
Can't go against what's going.
Come on, my heels over.
And just how powerful they looked all year. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They've had some losses. Every team has, but I'm going with UNC.
Yeah. The tradition, the legacy. We do this. If it was any other team, I would love to go with Grand Canyon, but sorry, playing those hills. Baylor versus Arizona.
It's a rough one, man. I'm falling for the narrative. I need to see Caleb Love go against North Carolina. I need to see it. So I gotta go with Arizona. I really picked it because this is a fan pick. This is like I want to see Caleb Love versus. We haven't had that drama in college. I don't think we've ever had that type of drama in college. Elite Eight. Caleb Love, he fell out with UNC teammates. Whatever happened. Let's meet up in Elite Eight for a trip to the Final Four. Let's do it. Let's do it. I'm out to Arizona.
It's crazy. I like both these teams. Usually, I usually do. And this is probably one of the better Sweet 16 matchups. If it happens, right? Man,
That's a tough draw.
I'm looking at
Man.
some numbers.
That's a tough.
Baylor had.
That's a tough draw. Like this is the tough side of the bracket. This
Baylor has Jacoby Walter, who will be a one and done. Jalen Bridges, Ray J. Dennis. They've always had solid guards. Yves Missy is one of those big men that I've been following throughout the year. Like he's getting better and better. Like this could be like pretty much an even matchup. I'm going to pick. Man, I'm a huge fan of Boswell at Arizona too. Kylan Boswell, probably one of my favorite point guards to watch in college. I love Caleb Love from UNC. That would be a great matchup. I'm going with
you
Baylor.
don't want to see Caleb Love? You don't want that smoke?
I would love to see it, but it's like, man, for some reason, I trust Baylor more in this situation.
I feel that.
I do. Other side, I got Houston JMU. Houston's going to beat. Sorry, JMU, your ride. And if you did what had to be done, you beat Duke. But Houston is moving on. Who you got? You got Houston Duke, right? Yeah, get Duke out of here. It's done. It's done. I got Tech and Kentucky in the next one. Kentucky Marquette.
I want Kentucky. I want Kentucky to win. I do.
But once again,
Marquette just gives me the team that Kentucky struggles with: the experienced team, the polished team. You know what I mean? That's the team that Kentucky, when they have these young guys in these type of moments. But I would love to see Rob Dillingham and Reed Sheppard keep pushing. But I went with Marquette just because I know how Kentucky gets. Like I know what happens in these type of situations with them. I went with Marquette.
I love both these teams. I like Shaka Smart. Listen, what's kind of obviously, you love Reed Sheppard and we love Rob Dillingham. Reed Sheppard and Dilly have been amazing, but Kentucky getting the big fella this year, Avicii, that could be a factor. I'm going Kentucky. I got to out my boy Dilly and Reed. Got to go Kentucky. My Sweet 16 is crazy. Like this next matchup, who you got?
Well, this is Purdue and Kansas, which probably won't happen. I know one of these teams. Just looking at it, it just sounds too good to be true. But I'm going with Kansas here.
Thank you. Get Purdue out of here. I got Utah State and McNeese.
Totally off board.
Listen, if Utah State's good enough to beat Purdue, they're good enough to beat McNeese. That's how I see
that could be the team.
I'm picking Utah State.
Story. We always need one, right?
That's the only really crazy team I got in the Elite Eight, so you got to have at least one, right? Next up, I got Creighton, Tennessee. I think you got Creighton, Texas. That's right, South Carolina. So you got South
even though it's not really that big of a Cinderella, but it kind of is because nobody really expected to go this far. I'm going with South Carolina to the Elite Eight, man.
Okay. Creighton and Tennessee. Who would I have in this matchup? This is all matches I'm thinking about in real time. I like this Creighton team. I do. I think Tennessee might be physical with Creighton. I think that'll be the edge. I'm going to go with Tennessee. So let's go over my Elite Eight right now. UConn, Iowa State, UNC, Baylor, Houston, Kentucky, Utah State, Tennessee.
Iowa State, Carolina, Arizona, Houston, Marquette, Kansas, South Carolina.
Okay. How you feeling right now about your picks?
I had the same thought process that I had yesterday. I tried to mix it up a little bit. I also thought about conferences. Yeah. Like we had to have at least one Big East team in the Elite Eight. So that's why I threw Marquette in there.
Definitely Big 12 heavy with Iowa, Baylor, and Houston. Man, I mean, I'm cool with it. I'm cool with what I got. Utah State's the one's like, wow, I really put Utah State. I just wanted them to be Purdue. I didn't. But then when you pick another upset like McNeese, you gotta, it ends up that way, right? If Utah State beats Purdue and McNeese beats Gonzaga and Sanford, you could have a Utah State McNeese Sweet 16 matchup, and then one of those teams is going to make the Elite Eight. So, yeah, it's crazy. So let's go with our Elite Eight picks in the East. UConn, Iowa State. Who do you got?
You in there?
Yes, sir. What's your next matchup? UConn and Arizona.
I'm going with, this is going to be a great one. I'm going UNC. I think I just think UNC is going to pull that one out. It would be crazy to see Caleb Love beat them though, but I'm going with UNC.
On the other side, Houston versus
and I'm going with Houston.
Marquette. Houston versus Marquette.
I'm going with Houston.
Houston, the experience, Kelvin Sampson as the head coach. They're trying to break through. I just think they're going to be so motivated after, like, oh, you lost to Iowa State. We don't believe in you as much anymore. Iowa State's getting most of the love right now over Houston. I just think that energy from Houston is going to be different. It's going to hit different, trust me. Sometimes a bad loss like that can be a benefit. And it's good that they lost that way now, right? I'm picking Houston. As much as it hurts me to say, Dilly and Reed are out of it. It was a good run. We'll see you in the league, but Houston's winning this one. What's your next? What's the other half?
Kansas and South Carolina, and y'all can see it. If y'all can see it,
go ahead and do it.
Backwards. South Carolina, baby. We out. Final Four.
Wow.
We out. South Carolina, man.
You got South Carolina in the Final Four?
We were a six seed to the Final Four. I like that. I like those odds.
I'm not liking, like, I got 3 number ones. It's like, it's not going to happen, right?
As well, yeah.
We both got 3. Yeah, we got the same ones. Like, it ain't going to happen probably, right? Like, so I might have to make some edits. But right now, listen, Utah State, Tennessee, Elite Eight. Let me tell you what. Listen. Utah State is what? A 8 seed versus the number 2 seed Tennessee Volunteers. To me, the physicality of Tennessee has the best player in Dalton Knecht, but Utah State, they can get their offense going. Can Tennessee match up with that? I can't do it, though. I'm picking Tennessee. I was trying to talk myself into it, but Utah State Elite Eight is good enough for me. Like, not many people probably going to have that. So my Final Four: UConn, Houston, UNC, Tennessee. Who you got?
South Carolina,
your Final Four?
And UNC.
All right, so UConn, Houston. UConn, UNC. This one's going to hurt me.
I had to go UConn. I just think they're the best team. I mean, this could go either way, man. UNC has the talent to beat anybody on a good night, but I'm going with UConn.
UNC has the talent, but it's just a consistency factor. Outside of R.J. Davis and Armando Bacot, can you get shots from the other guys? Harrison Ingram has been a great guy. He's been a great piece, right? Cormac Ryan, Elliot Cadeau. Those are the guys that got to step up and be consistent. Outside of Bacot and R.J. Davis, with UConn, they can beat you in so many ways. And they have 2 playable big men with legit size. That's huge. Not just one big guy that can play. 2. I'm going UConn in this one. Got to do it. And then you have Houston, South Carolina. Does the Cinderella run over for South Carolina?
That's good for them. I'm going with Houston.
I got Houston over Tennessee. So we both got UConn in Houston in the national championship. This will be an interesting matchup because the thing with Houston, right? Sometimes their offense can get kind of, a little nasty, a little stagnant. But UConn, I think, is a well-oiled machine. But it's that physicality of Houston that just always gives me thought, like, man, can they make this game ugly with UConn? Jamal Shedd is one of the best guards in the country. They got Cryer from Baylor, He has that experience. I love Kelvin Sampson as a coach. I love what UConn's been doing. It's so hard to go back to back. This is the year Houston does it. Kelvin Sampson gets his national championship. I'm doing it. It's a good story. I'm doing it.
You know what? I picked UConn when I made it yesterday on the paper. Yeah.
Hey, the tournament will start till Thursday, so it's not enough. You can still make your changes.
I know when my first.
It's such a tough.
My first gut was UConn. You know, usually your first instinct was right, but
it's a tough one, right? Because it's both talented teams, but it's like the styles of play.
The X factor really is going to come down to LJ Cryer because he's their guy. That's like he can come in and really get us a bucket.
And that physicality factor is like, man, if they can like ugly the game up a little bit. You know, Donovan Clingan is a NBA player. He'll be a pro for sure.
And
but
the thing about it is, both these teams,
you know how those Bigs for Houston
losses, but they've been dominant for the most part. But you know what? When I think about it like this, I think about I got to pick UConn to win for the simple fact I think they're in the easier side of the bracket than Houston and me. Like they have Iowa State there, who's hot, but UConn can beat them. Houston, they could slip up and lose a game to a Duke. It's possible. They could lose to a Marquette. It's possible. I think it's more likely that they'll lose on their road there before UConn will. Right now, I'm going with UConn, but if they actually meet up, and we talk about this again, I might switch up depending on how they look. But I'm gonna stick with my first instinct. We go with UConn.
It's so tough, man. Like I think Houston is such one of those really great college basketball teams because they don't have the name recognition, right? Guys that's a lottery guy. But Jamal Shead is really good. LJ Cryer is really good. They have nice supporting roles. Kelvin Sampson is one of the best coaches of all time. You know what I mean? And so you got to think eventually they're going to break through. Like they've been so close. Like they've been in these big games. You know, they've made these deep runs before. Like this isn't new to them. And so, like I thought last year when they had Marcus Sasser, you know, thought that would I think that's why I was so high on them last year because they had a Marcus Sasser with Jamal Shead, right? And so just their physicality, not many teams are used to playing that way and playing against that type of team. It's just their offense sometimes can get a little, you know, can you trust it to, you got to win 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You got to win 5 games just to get to the Final Four, right? Or get to the championship, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it's like, can you rely upon that offense? Do you have that extra gear that UConn has? But I feel like Houston breaks through. They'll break through. I think this is their year to break through, and they're going to get it done. So Houston over UConn, but talk to us tomorrow. We might have another answer. We might have a whole different championship game because the odds of 2 number ones being in the championship, it might not happen. It probably won't happen, honestly. But these are the 2 teams that I trust the most, though. Right? It just is. It's based on how they play. I trust these 2 teams the most.
Trust. Like it's not like it's a 7-game series. Like we was talking about the NBA. You know, I trust the Nuggets 7-game series, right. But in one game, it can happen.
Yeah. But as far as like UConn, like I feel like they can beat you in multiple ways. I feel like Houston is a team that defensively and physicality wise, they can enforce themselves. They can will themselves to victory versus a lot of these teams. You know what I mean? If talent isn't the question, they have the talent, but if they have that extra gear defensively on the boards, like, man, they can make you really speed yourself up and really get frustrated. And so, man, it's going to be fun though. We'll see there's going to be upsets. You have our upsets. I mean, you got South Carolina making it far. I got Utah State right now making it far. We'll see how it gets done. We'll see. But yeah, you got UConn over Houston. I got Houston over UConn. Ask us before tip-off Thursday and see how we feel when that happens. But, yeah, I'm looking forward to it. We'll see how long our brackets can stay alive. The key is having your Final Four stay intact as long as possible. That's it. You're not going to get every first-round game right. your Final Four can survive the first weekend,
But
you're
yeah, I
doing good.
mean,
That's all I'm saying.
it's going to be
You're
fun.
doing good.
Just sit back and enjoy, man. Watch some of these guys that you don't hear about, especially in today's college game. You know, a lot of the star power in college isn't there to the casual eye because you don't hear the Zion Williamson, you don't hear like even a Taco Fall, you don't hear these crazy names no more. But let's see who some of these unsung heroes are. These underrated players that's going to step up, man. I'm ready to see it.
Definitely, Rob Dillingham. If you're not like a huge college basketball fan, he's a guy that you got to watch. Reed Shepard, both two freshmen at Kentucky. Dalton Connect at Tennessee. I like Dayron Holmes at Dayton. I think he's a first round talent. He should get that opportunity. I hope he does. There are some good players out here in all these matchups. Guys that you never even heard of. Guys that play for a Utah State or a St. Mary's, a Grand Canyon, Illinois, Morehead. Like Morehead State has talent. So that's the biggest thing about this time of year, discovering these guys that you may not even hear about throughout the season, but they can go on a nice little run. And who knows, they can play themselves into for a lot of these guys, because of the nature of the draft this year, it's not as strong. A lot of these guys who are fringe second round guys can possibly play themselves up into moving up into the late first round if they have special runs, right? And so if DJ Wagner at Kentucky, who's sort of been overshadowed by those other two freshmen, if he has a great 2-3 game run in this tourney, he's going to the league. You just know it. You know what I'm saying? So he already has a name recognition. All he needs is that spotlight on him in those big moments, in those big games. And so things like that can change a young person's life just off a couple of strong 2 games in a tournament run, So that's what I'm looking forward to the most about this, seeing these guys raise their level of play. It's going to be fun. I'm going to enjoy it. And so we got a lot to talk about over the next few weeks on this show. Stick with us. Enjoy this show. We'll be talking about the March Madness throughout, leading up to the final championship game, and we'll see how these sleepers go. Shout out to Utah State. Let's get it.
So,
all right. We'll talk to you all next week.